Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Listen Up Girl podcast, where I break down the biggest LGBTQ plus news stories from around the world, from politics and cultural to viral moments and community victories. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman, and we have a packed lineup. We're going to be talking about the Pulse nightclub memorial in Orlando, a citywide laser display lighting up Florida, a new global data that has come out on attitudes towards LGBTQ plus people, and so much more. So let's start with Orlando, where they unveil the Pulse Memorial plans. The city of Orlando has unveiled new renderings of the long-awaited Pulse nightclub memorial honoring 49 victims killed in 2016's mass shooting. The design includes several thoughtful spaces meant for reflection and remembrance, including a reflection pool, a visitor center, a healing garden, a survivor's wall, and a row of columns dedicated to each victim. City leaders say the memorial not only serve as a tribute to those who lost their lives, but also a place for healing for survivors, families, and the broader LGBTQ plus community. Construction is expected to move forward over the next several years, with completion currently targeted for September of 2027. For many families and advocates, the memorial represents a long-awaited step towards honoring the lives that lost and ensuring the legacy of Pulse continues to be remembered. Then we go to a Florida city lights up with massive rainbow displays. In Florida, again, another story is turning heads, this one with a little more color. The city of St. Petersburg, Florida, recently created a massive rainbow laser display spanning over 50 city blocks. Organizers say the display is so large it can be reportedly seen from up to 60 miles away. The project transformed the skyline with beams of rainbow light stretching across the city, symbolizing LGBTQ plus visibility and pride. In a place where debates about LGBTQ plus rights often dominate headlines, the visual was a striking reminder that pride and community continue to shine. I know Ron DeSantis must be running around in his little boots and so upset. Next, global survey shows mixed attitudes towards LGBTQ plus people. A new international survey from the Pew Research Center suggests attitudes towards LGBTQ plus relationships still vary widely around the world, and the United States sits somewhere in the middle. The study surveyed people in 25 countries, asking whether behaviors such as drinking alcohol, abortion, and LGBTQ plus relationships were morally acceptable, morally unacceptable, or not a moral issue. One striking finding, Americans are more likely than respondents in any other surveyed country to judge the morality of people's personal choices. When it comes to specifically to homosexuality, about 39% of Americans say it's morally wrong. That puts the United States in the middle globally, similar to countries like Israel, Hungary, and Greece. But in parts of Western Europe, including Sweden, Germany, Spain, and the Netherlands, more than 90% of respondents say homosexuality is not morally wrong. The results highlight a reality many LGBTQ plus advocates already know. While acceptance has grown dramatically in many places, attitudes still differ greatly depending on culture, politics, and geography. That 39% rating just is really concerning that Americans think homosexuality is morally wrong. I feel like we are going the other direction again. Next, a viral TikTok shows life with two gay brothers. A viral TikTok video is also giving the internet a laugh this week. The clip, posted by social media trio behind this account, Triplet Saga, shows a woman named Jaden riding an elevator with her two brothers, Cannon and Kenny. The caption reads, "This is what life is like living with two gay brothers, in case anyone was wondering." The video quickly exploded online, racking up more than 5 million views and thousands of comments. While the clip is lighthearted, it's another example of how social media continues to normalize LGBTQ plus families and relationships through humor and everyday moments. Now we go to Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers, where they donate after anti-trans policy. At the 2026 GLAAD Media Awards, comedians and podcast hosts Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers used their acceptance speech to make a powerful statement. The duo received the Stephen K. Kolzak Award, which honors LGBTQ plus media professionals who promote equality. While on stage at the Beverly Hilton, Yangs and Rogers announced they were donating $10,000 to Equality Kansas. The donation was made in response to recent legislation in Kansas that revoked transgender people's driver's license. During the speech, Rogers emphasized that the leaders in the LGBTQ plus community have responsibility to support one another. He told the audience, "If you're in this room tonight, you're a leader in our community. Our message is to those who are not here tonight is that you are not alone. You are our family." Very nice. Now we go to the litter box in schools myth returns once again. Another story circulating this week highlights how misinformation continues to spread online. A conspiracy theory claiming that schools are installing litter boxes for students who identify as cats has resurfaced yet again, despite no evidence that it has ever happened. Experts say the rumor has been repeatedly debunked and is widely considered an urban myth used to attack transgender rights. This week, the claim was repeated by MAGA pastor Tony Suarez, who allegedly that schools in Tennessee had installed litter boxes for students identifying as furries. Even Joe Rogan previously discussed the rumor before later acknowledging it was false. Investigations by NBC News found that at least 20 politicians publicly repeated the claim, yet every school district mentioned denied it. The only real connection to the cat litter in schools comes from an emergency lockdown kits where buckets and litter may be kept as temporary toilets during active shooter situations. Oh, how does that tie back to the LGBTQ plus community, though? But it's part of the LGBTQ plus news I pulled up. Next, Scouting America reaffirms trans inclusion. Scouting America has clarified that transgender youth are still welcome in its program. The clarification comes after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth claimed the organization was rolling back its policies and restricting membership based on biological sex. However, Scouting America President and CEO Roger Crone told the Associated Press that transgender youth remain part of the program and will continue to be included. Crone said the organization remains committed to serving all young people, even as it adjusts some internal policies in response to federal executive orders. Once again, back in Florida, anti-DEI bill raises LGBTQ plus concerns. In Florida, lawmakers have passed a controversial bill that critics say could threaten LGBTQ plus events and other community programs. The legislation would ban local governments from using taxpayer funds to support diversity, equity, inclusion programs. Opponents argue the bill's language is so broad it could impact everything from pride celebrations to cultural festivals and community programs. Some officials have even warned that the law could unintentionally affect events like the St. Patrick's Day celebrations. The bill now heads to Governor Ron DeSantis, who is expected to decide whether to sign it into law. And just a couple of other additional headlines before we wrap up. The NYPD has confirmed an explosive device was thrown near the residence of New York Mayor during the clashes between the anti-Islam protesters and counter-demonstrators. Also in France, a man has been sentenced to 25 years in prison for the murder of a 70-year-old man who he met through an online chat platform. He said he was trying to get rid of pedophiles. And then in West Virginia, the West Virginia state passed a bill targeting certain performers in public spaces, which critics say could be used to restrict drag shows. And our last little headline is the Orange Convicted Felons Administration has rescinded a Biden-era rule requiring foster homes receiving federal funds to affirm LGBTQ family children's identities, saying the policy discouraged some families from participating in foster care. And that's today's LGBTQ plus roundup. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the podcast, share it with a friend, and leave a review, please. It really helps when more people find the show. You can follow me on social media at TheRealZachRE on Instagram, and for more updates from behind the scenes and content from this podcast. Thanks for listening to the Listen Up Girl, and remember, stay informed, stay proud, and I'll see you tomorrow with more LGBTQ plus news.